Today we meet Radlyn Naidoo, a 23-year-old graduate from Pretoria University who has lived with Tourette Syndrome from the age of 9. Let's take a look.
And I was like, baby girl, when I saw your face, I was like, dang, she's the one in the entire human race. 'Cause baby, it's in love. Oh, baby, it's in love. Oh, baby, it's in love.
Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Hi, Palesa. How are you doing?
I am doing so good, but what I'm appreciating more than ever, Radlyn, is the fact that we've got brave individuals like yourself that are speaking out about a syndrome that not many people know about. I mean, Radlyn, I have to be honest with you. The first time I was introduced to Tourette Syndrome was through the media, was through movies, American television programs, and sometimes they didn't depict Tourette Syndrome accurately. So let's get into it, my homeboy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so Radlyn, many people watching would say, he does not have Tourette Syndrome after watching that video. But please may you share how your journey with Tourette Syndrome has first discovered.
Well, you see, it all started at the age of 9 for me. My parents had decided at the time when I was 9 years old to get a divorce, and that situation of over amounts of stress and anxiety led to my tics and symptoms having surfaced. So, you know, the 4 years prior to my diagnosis, I only got diagnosed at the age of 13. And that first 4 years was, you know, very uncharted, unknown territory for me as well as my family. And then, obviously, excuse me, you know, long periods of time I'd have no control over it. And eventually it got to a point where I'd struggle to breathe. And then my mom was like, no, we have to book you at a neurologist because the tics and my symptoms were starting to affect my own control over my breathing. Like I wouldn't have control over when I would inhale or exhale, for example. So it got quite severe. And that's when I eventually went to a neurologist. And within a minute of walking into his office, I twitched, I swore out loud, I punched my face. And he immediately looked at me, and then he looked at my mom, and he's like, your child has Tourette Syndrome.
Oh, wow.
And then he confirmed the diagnosis.
Radlyn, I can only imagine that groundbreaking moment, walking into that doctor's office and having your world change just like that. But for those that didn't know, for those that decided to bully you and those that decided to put you down, your schooling career was quite difficult because many people didn't understand what Tourette Syndrome looked like. And you were brave enough to post a video of yourself at the age of 19 whilst having these tics in order to spread awareness and educate people. Let's have a look at that.
This is my first time making a video, so I'm kind of nervous. But here goes nothing. For all the times that you rain on my parade.
Wow, Radlyn, at the age of 19, I mean, I don't think I was brave enough to be able to come and live out loudly and boldly. Watching that over, how does that make you feel?
You know, excuse me, you know, when I still look at it today, I can't help but get a little emotional as well as encouraged. Because my message and, you know, a simple act of service of just making a video, not to be pretentious, but just to be who I am and show other people that it's okay to be who you are, you know. Your flaws are perfectly imperfect in their own nature. So for me, that video, knowing it, my intention of doing it, ultimately, and to this day I'll repeat it, was only to help just one person. That's all I actually cared about. That's all I genuinely care about. Yeah. It's not about reaching millions of people, but I am grateful that, you know, people like you and people at the Afternoon Express and the studio production team are helping me reach more people. And that's the goal. It's to help others embrace any difficulties or trials they may have faced and find a way to rise above them and conquer their journey, you know?
Thank you for being brave enough for doing so and allowing us to share along with you. Now, please may you also take us through what the initial treatment process has been like and where are you now with your journey with Tourette Syndrome?
You know, my treatments included like multiple prescriptions for, antipsychotics as well as antidepressants. Muscle relaxants, as well as psychological therapy. And the treatments didn't assist me much other than making me feel like a complete zombie, if I'm being honest with you. Completely zoned out of reality, excessive amounts of weight gain, like you cannot believe. I was 122.3 kilograms at one point when I was 17 years of age. And overall, I'd like to admit the truth that psychotherapy or psychological help was the most successful in terms of helping me deal with my Tourette's, simply because the clinical therapists, they've given me the tools I needed to be able to survive in the social jungle and social realm that exists in today's society.
It's very interesting, Radlyn, that the psychological intervention was the treatment that bore the most fruit, or rather the more positive fruit for yourself, because it is through this treatment that you were able to break through some of those tics, because we do know that it's the stimulation. So something else that's been able to stimulate you quite positively. So you use music to express yourself, and it's been extremely instrumental in your life, not only because you are passionate about it, but because it helps you in dealing with Tourette's. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, I was about 10 years old when I was trying to watch a television program, and for the life of me, sitting on that couch, I couldn't comprehend what was going on screen because I couldn't sit still. So I ran into my room. This is about a year of having tics from the first, ever since they started. I ran into my room, I locked my door, and I started humming. And then from humming, I started singing. And then from singing, I didn't realize I spent 4 hours in my room singing straight. And when I unlocked the door to come out of my room, I realized in that whole 4 hours while I was singing, I barely twitched once. So it was at the age of 10 that I found that music and singing is not only it's not only something that helps me deal with my tics or help me suppress them, but they're non-existent. And in that way, music and singing became my escape mechanism to live the reality I prefer to live without tics rather than with them when I'm just going about my daily life. So music became more than just something I'd listen to. It became a savior, to me at least.
I think that that's something that a lot of people right now can identify with. It being COVID-19, the pandemic, and a lot going on in our world. We all have those saving graces, those things that we can identify with, and those things that we can hold true and see us on the other end, feeling brighter, even if it's 4 hours later, realizing your reality, realizing the reality you'd prefer to experience with or without the tics. Now, lastly, Radlyn, before we let you go, what knowledge do you want people who are watching this right now, who are watching this interview, to leave with about Tourette syndrome?
I think the main thing that I want people to know is that not all Tourette sufferers swear out aloud. It's such a common misconception that people with Tourette's swear, when the truth is that symptom is known as coprolalia, and only less than 10% of people in the globe that suffer with Tourette's actually swear out aloud. And the negative connotation that it has in television to say that people with Tourette's are crazy or weird or aggressive people just because of their symptoms. Some people might have aggressive muscle tics or aggressive vocal tics. It does not translate, nor does it mean that these people are aggressive in nature. Their tics might seem violent, but that does not mean they're violent people. Their tics might be rude or vulgar, but that does not mean they are themselves rude or vulgar people. So that's what I'd like people to know mainly.
Radlyn, that alone is empowering, because you are disconnecting the physical tics from the person to the emotional aspect and what they're going through from within, that the two necessarily don't mirror each other. So thank you for clarifying that for all of us, because I'm sure that a lot of us might also use that as an excuse to not understand fully what Tourette syndrome is. Thank you, Radlyn. We appreciate you totally, wholeheartedly, and we know South Africa is backing you. Bye.
God bless Palesa. Thanks so much.
South Africa, head over to our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Please use that hashtag Afternoon Express if you are feeling our boy Radlyn Naidoo.